One thing I wanted to show you as well is with this device, this is actually a cover for a button cell battery. So like what you would use in like a watch or like one of those larger batteries, like if you have a pH pen or something like that. It's one of those big flat batteries that looks like a quarter. The reason it has the battery is all right, so let's talk a little bit about how to program your ZooMed Dimming Thermostat. We'll open the box and take a look at it and show what we got. Let's crack this puppy open. All right, so opening up our box here. So we have our unit. So this is our faceplate unit. So if you see on the back, we have our port for our probe. We have our power supply to the unit itself. And then we have our outlet that we're gonna plug our device into. We have our probe. Nice metal tip on these probes, super high quality. And then of course we have the power supply to the unit. So very self-explanatory. So of course our power supply, this one right here, middle guy, male to female connection, right in the middle. And then of course we have our probe. So probe goes into this brass port right here, should click in. So we have our power supply, I'll plug it into our unit, and that'll allow us to do our initial programming. So as you can see, the unit comes on, and as you can see right now, we have our device temperature, what our actual temperature is, the probe is reading. We have our current time setting here, and then we have our low temperature setting. All right, so our device is powered on, it's ready to go. So when it comes to the ramp up and ramp down of the device, generally in most circumstances, you're not gonna ever have to mess with that. The default setting for this unit is 30 minutes. However, you can adjust the ramp up to between 0 to 99 minutes. So you can push that out past an hour if you want to ramp it up a lot slower, if you want to get really particular on your setup. But in general, the default ramp up time is 30 minutes. As far as our device is here, one thing I wanted to show you as well is with this device, this is actually a cover for a button cell battery. So like what you would use in like a watch or like one of those larger batteries, like if you have a pH pen or something like that. It's one of those big flat batteries that looks like a quarter. The reason it has the battery is this device, if you lose power or if there's a power outage, it will still maintain its settings. So it has a built-in memory. So by having that battery supply in there, it's gonna keep all your settings even if your house loses power for a little bit. So that's another feature that the dimming thermostat has that I really like. All right, so as far as programming our unit, this one's really cool because it actually has a built-in kind of a touch screen here. So you see on the bottom, there's this lock setting. So if I move my finger all the way across, then if I hit the clock, you see if I hit the first button on the clock, you see the 4 is flashing. So then I can edit the time using the up and down arrows. So what time is it at right now? We're at 2. And then if I go to the clock button again, press that once more, it takes me to the minute hand. We're at 2:23. Right, so I've set the current time. So the time is set. If I press the clock button again, it takes me out. All right, so as far as ramping up and ramping down, like I said, I'm not gonna recommend you mess with that portion unless you wanna get really technical. If that's the case, just reference your manufacturer's instructions as far as setting that up. But in general, like I said, it has a 30-minute ramp up and ramp down. So you see in the top left corner, our lock icon is there again. This unit auto locks after we're done. Swipe my finger, unlock the device, you see the lock went away. The next thing I'm gonna do is set. So you see once I hit the setting button, so I unlock the device and hit set, you see the first one is ramp up and ramp down. So that basically would put you into that ramp settings mode. However, let's go ahead and let's hit settings again. So we're gonna click settings again. We're gonna go to the third one. So this basically is our daytime. So when does daytime begin? So let's say we wanna set our daytime to 8 a.m. That's perfect. Now, and then we hit our setting button again, and then that sets night from, and we can do, we'll set it from 8 p.m. Right, that sets us from 8 p.m. We're good there. So the daytime set, the nighttime is set. So then we go in the bottom settings. So basically after that screen, it's gonna take you to the daytime settings. So my daytime settings, let's say we wanna have a basking temperature of 95 degrees. And this has tiny decimal points too, so if you want to get very specific, this device is capable of setting very specific temperatures. Okay, so daytime Basking temperature set, 95 degrees Fahrenheit. Let's press the setting again. Nighttime setting. Let's say we're going to put it up to 75. Perfect. So nighttime setting, 75 degrees Fahrenheit. Third button is alarm. This actually is when you want the alarm to sound based on how much deviation from the temperature. So this one is currently set to, the default setting is 30 degrees. So that means if the variance exceeds 30 degrees or more with your set temperature, then the alarm will sound. Personally, I would probably turn this down to about 10 to 15 degrees, just because 30 degrees is a big swing. So I would set it down to about 10 to 15 degrees. That way, if your temperature goes up 10 to 15 degrees above your setting, or if below that, you know there's an issue generally. So if we go hit settings again, we're out. So as you can see, there's a little sun logo as well. So we know we're in daytime operation mode, and you see there's a little flame logo in the corner. That means if there were to be a device plugged into this, it knows that we can see, obviously it's in heating mode. So it's working. So as far as setup, that's the basics of it, but you will have more detailed instructions in your manufacturer's instructions. But if you have any questions, of course, you can always give us a call or bring it in. I can take a look at it for you, because some of these can be a little tricky, but this unit is really easy compared to some of the other stuff on the market. But that is how we set up our thermostat, our ZooMed dimmable thermostat. And as you see, it kind of sits very nicely on the table or in your enclosure. So this also has a 6-foot cord for the power supply and the probe, so you have plenty of length as well. If you have any questions about setting up your ZooMed ReptiTemp Dimming digital thermostat, be sure to check out the instructions, of course, first off, but give us a call or stop in store and I can show you some of the great features of this awesome new product. Thank you guys and have an excellent day.